Hey soldiers, there's an old saying, when you find yourself 6 feet in a hole, put the shovel down. Bud Light, Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, they refuse to put the shovel down. Now what they've done here recently is they're desperate as hell because they brought their CEO down from Mount Olympus and he was given 10 minutes on a CBS program, one of the morning shows, the CBS morning show. He was given 10 minutes, okay, to go on at length, basically do a 10-minute commercial to try to rescue the brand. It didn't work. And we're going to go over why that is. We're also going to take a look at the stock, right? Because the stock has, it's doing good here in the past week or so, but long term, and that's what we look at here at Soldiers of Finance, long term, we look at the performance because we're long-term investors here. We're not traders. So I want you to understand the relationship before we get into actually hearing what the CEO, Brendan Whitworth, he is a former CIA employee, former Marine, and one part of this interview, he tries to lay on the patriotism thick to try to guilt you back. Paper thin, doesn't work. Your CIA tricks don't work in this situation, Mr. Whitworth. But I want you to understand the relationship. Now, Whitworth is the CEO of Anheuser-Busch, but there is a larger corporation that is the owner of Anheuser-Busch. It's Anheuser-Busch InBev, and they are based in Belgium. Now, the CEO for that company is a gentleman by the name of Michel Ducaris, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But Mr. Ducaris is a gentleman who is, I believe he's from Latin America. He speaks with an accent, okay? And I'm sure that they said, you know what, because you're not here in America, and you may not know the nuances of what's going on socially, culturally, with some of this stuff, and the accent as well is not going to allow you to come across to this American consumer we're attempting to win back. Believe me, these conversations happen. I was a lobbyist, as you all know. I have been in many a meeting where they talked about perception and who should go to a meeting and who shouldn't, and what they should say, and on and on and on. Because when you've mastered perception, you're on your way to crafting reality. All right, so we got Whitworth. He's going up there, and he's going to try to rescue the brand on the CBS morning show. Here we go. Watch a little bit of it. We'll come back, talk about it.
How and why did it go so off the rails? Because that certainly wasn't your intention when you did one can to one person.
It's been a challenging few weeks, and I think the conversation surrounding Bud Light has moved away from beer, and the conversation has become divisive. And Bud Light really doesn't belong there. Bud Light should be all about bringing people together. And there's been impact on the business, and I think that's publicly covered on Bud Light specifically.
Yeah, so what was your intention? Take us to the beginning. What was your intention? What were you all trying to do here? And you've done this before, these promotional campaigns.
Yeah, it was, just to be clear, it was a gift, and it was one can. But for us, you know, as we look to kind of the future and we look to moving forward, we have to understand the impact that it's had, and like I said, you know, that impact has taken place. But it's the impact on our employees, the impact on our consumers, and as well the impact on our partners. And I think one thing that I'd love to make extremely clear is that impact is my responsibility. And as the CEO, everything we do here, I'm accountable for.
Given the moment we're in, this moment in America with trans issues at the top of a Republican social or conservative political agenda, knowing what you know now, if you could go back, would you send this can to this one person again?
There's a big social conversation taking place right now, and big brands are right in the middle of it. And it's not just our industry or Bud Light. It's happening in retail. It's happening in fast food. And so for us, what we need to understand is deeply understand and appreciate is the consumer and what they want, what they care about, and what they expect from big brands.
So this is part of why you're getting it from all sides, because I asked you, would you do it again? And people on the trans rights side of things, supporting that community, want you to say, yes, of course, we want that fortitude. And people on the right would criticize you for saying yes. So where are you on the issue? I mean, was this a mistake?
You know, Bud Light has supported LGBTQ since 1998. So that's 25 years. And as we've said from the beginning, we'll continue to support the communities and organizations that we've supported for decades. But as we move forward, you know, we want to focus on what we do best, which is brewing great beer for everyone, listening to our consumers, being humble and listening to them, making sure that we do right by our employees, take care and support our partners, and ultimately make an impact in the communities that we serve.
All right, a few observations here. He mentions that Bud Light has supported LGBTQ causes for 25 years. Fine. Nobody has a problem with that. That's not why you're in this situation. Now, apparently and obviously, this guy Whitworth is very intelligent, okay? If you look at his background, if you look at the fact that currently he is the CEO of a subsidiary of a global company. So he's not only highly thought of here in American corporate circles, but globally. But he is being willfully ignorant in this setting. I'm sure he knows that this controversy is not over Anheuser-Busch supporting the gay community. This controversy is all about the fact that Budweiser partnered with an influencer who has a lot of content out there focused on younger audiences that are not 21 or older. And the type of content that the influencer creates for this audience, for this young audience, is extremely objectable. Americans have a big problem with this, all right? And you know what I'm talking about. This is a smart audience here. So he is really dancing around, at least on this interview, the facts of the matter. Whitworth, no one has a problem with Bud Light supporting gay people. You guys have been producing the rainbow-themed can of Budweiser for quite some time now, and there was never any cause or anybody saying, I'm not going to drink the beer, we're going to boycott. Never happened. So don't try to pull that over on America. Don't try your CIA tricks on America with this particular incident. He says it's divisive. You made it divisive. You should have done your research. The buck stops here. You're right. It's your responsibility. You should have done a lot more research into the can that you produced. He says, oh, we just produced one can. Well, you should have produced 1,000 for all of the trouble that it has caused you. The other thing that he says is, well, our employees, partners, and consumers are impacted. How are the consumers impacted? They're just switching to another beer. There's more than enough choice out there with regard to what you drink. It's not like people stopped drinking Bud Light or consuming Anheuser-Busch products and all of a sudden, the line just stagnated. Nobody else came up to fill the gap. Modelo, has filled the gap. It is now the #1 selling beer in America, because there is an abundance of choice. You ever been in a liquor store lately? There's an obscene abundance of choice. Also, because the gay establishments in several states, and we've covered this extensively, gay establishments in several states said they're not serving Anheuser-Busch products. And here's what happens. You have never been in a situation where you've gone into a bar and say, hey, give me a Bud Light. And they said, we don't serve that. Your next statement was not, well, I'm out of here. Your next statement was, all right, well, give me a Yingling. Give me this, give me that. There's 1,000 choices, okay? Just like when you go into a restaurant and you sit down, you open up the menu, and the guy comes over and he says, hey, can I get you some drinks? And you say, yeah. May I have a Coke? And they say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't serve Coke. We serve Pepsi products. You say, okay, fine. Give me a Pepsi. You don't storm out of the restaurant. Okay, you just keep it moving. So Whitworth is way off base on this. And he doesn't know his customer if he is still not aware that this controversy is not over LGBTQ plus. It's not over that at all. But he seems not to be aware of that, which is damned interesting. Or again, maybe he is, and he just came to this interview because it is CBS, right? And let's be the state media. Okay, the state has an agenda. That corporation has an agenda, and they'd eviscerate him if he told the truth, and he knows that. The other thing about it is this: the reporter pressed him about, would you do it again? And he danced around. He did the political thing. Well, what else could he do? Okay, if he says, "Oh yeah, we'd do it again in a heartbeat," well, then you're going to exacerbate the problem. If he said, "No, we wouldn't do it again," then he's going to exacerbate the problem because both sides of the argument are pissed off at Anheuser-Busch. So he's got himself into a rock and a hard place. And anytime the CEO comes out, think about it. How many CEOs do you know? And not know personally, but can come off the top of your head with their name. Elon Musk, okay? Jeff Bezos. I'm not sure what his role is at Amazon, but he was, the CEO at one point. Household name. Mark Zuckerberg, okay? Then to me, and I follow this stuff, and now it's getting pretty thin. I don't even know who the CEO is of the company I used to work for. So when you bring the CEO out to speak like this isn't Bloomberg, all right? This isn't Fox Business. It isn't CNBC. This is a CBS morning show where this guy is. And again, they gave him 10 whole minutes. All right, this is from Zero Hedge. Get woke, go broke. How national boycotts are indeed crushing ESG companies. A couple of months back, the leftist media, including Rolling Stone, attempted to debunk the mantra of get woke, go broke with a series of articles and reports suggesting that corporations that embrace social justice ideology and ESG related policies are actually more profitable than ever. At the time, the momentum for conservative boycotts of companies like Anheuser-Busch and eventually Target had just started to roll forward. And eventually Target had just started to roll forward. And is often the case with the media, they jumped the gun and made assumptions before the dust had settled on the issue because, these, even Fox guys, this is state media, all right? You're being fed a lot of bull from the so-called expert class who gets it wrong most of the time. They said the boycott against Bud Light would not last. But it has been 3 months now, and Bud Light just suffered its worst weekly loss so far, with sales down 30% at the end of June. Stock losses for Anheuser-Busch were also in the $27 billion range. And earlier, we did a report yesterday about how there was the rumor that Heinerscheid had been fired. And Blake, the marketing execs that were responsible for this campaign. And then Anheuser-Busch came out with a statement saying, no, we haven't fired him. Stop lying. All right. I don't know what's going on, if they're fired or if they're not, but there's no way you're going to tell me that a decision that an executive made that resulted in a loss of $27 billion in market capitalization and 30% sales drop, there's no way in hell you're keeping that person around. And if you are, then the shareholders of this company need to take a serious look at whether or not they hold on to that stock. Because if you're doing that, Anheuser-Busch, you're making some terrible decisions. You're compounding bad decisions. Put the shovel down. I keep telling you, put the shovel down. The company is now preparing for the possibility that these losses are permanent and that customers are not coming back. Yeah, that's exactly what they need to prepare for. And they asked that guy again, would you do it again? I'm sure in his mind, he's like, God, I wish we could invent a time machine, because I guarantee you he'd use it to go back and not endeavor in that promotion. All right. So let's hear a little more from him. Okay. And then we'll move on.
So how much is this marketing boo-boo, whatever you want to call it, costing Bud Light in the end? With the drop in sales, with the financial assistance, with the new ad campaign? I mean, you roll all that together, it sounds like tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars?
We're focusing on investing behind the brand right now. So we're actually increasing the investment on Bud Light 3 times this year as we move forward.
I know
so
you say you're moving forward,
our,
and I think that's the right attitude. I get it. But what was the most difficult part for you navigating? You've been CEO for the past 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. What has this been like for you?
It's been, what's weighed on me the most has been, as I mentioned,
your employees.
The employees.
A little more gray in the beard.
But you
A
are.
little more, yes, but I
point
think it's
out
been coming
that
for a
you're-
couple of years already, even before this.
Brendan, we should point out that you're a former United States Marine, and you were also at the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA.
Correct.
So you know a little bit about stress,
Yeah.
just a tiny bit.
Just a little bit.
How did you go from the CIA to Anheuser-Busch?
You know, I thought the highest calling that anybody can have is serving the country. But for personal reasons, made the decision after 8 years in service of the country to move into business. I worked for PepsiCo for a number of years, and I came here 10 years ago, and I've been in this position for 2 years.
You still like this job?
I love this job, and I love the company.
Okay, so in another part of the interview, he actually starts talking about how the American farmer is affected by this. No, they're not, because other brands now have to produce more beer. So American farmers are just selling to them. Jesus Christ, this shows you how dumb these people think we here in the proletariat are. So he's trying to guilt us. Oh, let me go out and buy a case of Bud to help the American farmer. That's not how it works, dude. Okay, but when they come in and this is how far he's fallen from understanding. He's a U.S. Marine, okay, retired. He knows damn well that people don't pick up a beer and think, oh, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to help the American farmer. Let me buy this beer. Nah, that's not how it works. He knows that. So in their desperation, they're flailing now, okay? They did the ad that we profiled last week where it's just like, wow, this isn't funny. It's not inspirational. It's goofy and not funny. Okay, whatever. That flopped. They came out with the thing, We Hear You. They got panned for that. They got him on CBS on the morning show. And now Anheuser-Busch launches ad campaign highlighting workers as company still reels from Dylan Mulvaney fallout. Now, let me tell you what I think this is. This one's a veiled threat. Don't make us have to lay people off because you're not buying our beer. That's what this is, all right? Following months of intense backlash over its partnership with a transgender influencer, Anheuser-Busch is launching a new ad campaign aimed at celebrating the workers responsible for making its beer, titled That's Who We Are. The campaign will salute the more than 65,000 people who brew, stock, deliver, and serve Anheuser-Busch beers across America. Again, they just don't know the customer. Nobody gives a damn, all right? Heiner Shine, okay, you heard her talk. You see this guy, and look, this guy's not attending any professional bull riding competitions. He's not sitting beside people in the stands at NASCAR. That's where their customers are. He's not doing that, okay? He's not visiting, the local electrical installation company where, at the end of the day, hardworking guy goes home and cracks open a beer, no longer a Bud Light. Something else funny he said in the interview that I wanted to point out. We want to concentrate something to that effect on brewing great beer. So what are you saying? You're buying Guinness? Anyway, this new campaign celebrates the people that bring our beer to life, from American farmers to those in our breweries, to delivery drivers, servers, and store clerks. the beer industry is made great by the amazing people that work hard every day in every community. So this is Mr. Whitworth. Okay, what a blue blood name, Mr. Whitworth. And some marketing team came into his office. Now they're all Ivy League grads too. Imagine the lady from Trading Places. Ever see that movie? In the beginning, when they're the folk up in, I think it's like Martha's Vineyard, they're in a little eatery and they just finished playing tennis, and the girl says, "And she stepped on the ball." That's these kind of people, okay, that are coming in consulting on this. All right, so they won't put the shovel down. Let's take a quick look at the stock. On the 5-year, it's down over 40%. We covered that before. In the 6-month period, the stock is also down. 6 month, it's down, what's that? 7.5%. 1 month though, it's up over 2.5%. But again, we are not traders here. We're looking at long term. And I like to point out that 5-year because Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch rather, they're down over the 5-year. So it's like, guys, come on. We need to really think of something that's going to help, not hurt. Over the long term, extremely long term, they're up 45%. Okay, will they come back? I don't know. They got a lot of brands out there. But Budweiser is one of the major brands for this beer. So we'll see what happens with them. But again, I think they're extreme. You can smell the desperation anytime they got to go and drag that guy. The last place he wanted to be was on that set, especially when they start, tapping him with, not tough questions, but they were not softball. Some of them, okay? And they basically, again, gave him a commercial. So here is another video we did about the FTX scandal. That's another company that's in trouble, but they may be coming back. We're going to do a video on that. But here's the latest with regard to some bad news that CEO, former CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried got. He's been accused of multiple crimes, trying to allegedly defraud people. And it's another case where folk are losing money because of corporate malfeasance. Check it out. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.